Hey guys, welcome back to the Ghost and Friends YouTube channel. You guys saw Mr. Dave Myrick, Randy Heights, and Zachary Sim talking Texas OU baseball earlier. We're here to talk a little PGA Championship. So with that being said, I had to bring back my good golf buddy, Mr. Danny Oldani. How we doing, Danny?
I'm doing well. Excited for the weekend. How are you?
Also excited. Not near as nervous as I have been in previous majors. Thanks to Mr. Rory getting it done. But yeah, very excited. I know Quail Hollow catches a lot of flack, but it still provides a really good test. And so just overall ready to see the big dogs go at it. I mean, we don't always get to see it nowadays with PGA and Live being a thing. And so normally my focus would be on Rory and him trying to get it done. And now I probably care more about Spieth and hoping that Spieth finds a way to somehow shock us all. But what are your first impressions, first thoughts when you think about the PGA Championship at Quail Hollow, Danny?
Well, I think the first thing I got to do is I got to ask you, because I gave you a hard time when it was Masters, if you were going to bet on Rory, how much exposure you had to Rory. Your strategy there was to not bet on him, the emotional hedge, and it worked out. Are you still running with that?
No, I'll dabble on Rory some because I do think he's got a good a shot as anybody. I think there's only a couple golfers, to be honest, that really do have a shot to win this tournament. Um, and obviously Rory being one of them. So I am curious. So when it comes to Rory, how does he look coming off a win? Is he, I mean, what it takes. You're a competitor. You still have to, you got to lock in and be mentally focused regardless of how much skill and talent you have. And so, I won't go crazy on Rory or anything. I didn't go crazy or anything on Rory, but what about you? Do you got a little action on Rory Mac?
I mean, yeah, I'm going to. I haven't yet, but I think honestly, it's like I think there's only a handful of guys that really have a shot. I think this is one that like is his to lose almost, and not in the sense of like the pressure sort of thing, but the way that he's playing, the way that this golf course sets up. There's if you take like going back like 10 years, a golfer and a course, like basically pairing how well a golfer plays at a specific course. Like if you think of like Spieth at like Augusta usually is like really good, or John Rahm at like Torrey Pines. The best golfer course pairing over the last 10 years has been Rory at Quail Hollow, and it isn't even close. And he doesn't have the pressure of trying to win a major anymore. He doesn't have the pressure, the Grand Slam's over. He's broken the 10-year major streak or whatever it is. So I had said last time we talked, it was either going to go one in two ways. He was just going to go on a tear, or it was going to be like I sort of reached what I wanted to, and not as locked in or whatever. I don't know if you saw one of his press conference questions, but somebody asked him like, if you had to trade one part of your game for somebody else's part of your game, what would it be? And his answer was great. And I'm not a Rory guy, but he was like, I wouldn't trade any part of my game for anybody. He's like, I like my game. And he's like, well, if you have to. And then the guy says, if you have to do it. And Rory says, well, I don't have to do it, and I wouldn't do it. And then he's like, okay, well, what about any part of anybody else's game out here that you admire? And he goes, I'm just focused on my own game. So I think the side of me that thought maybe he would sort of, be like, I sort of accomplished what I needed to and not be as focused. I don't think that's the case, because he seems pretty locked in, especially as intense as he was during that interaction. So I think he's probably, he is odds on favorite, or one of them, but yeah, I think he's the guy that's you sort of got to go take it from.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about his success at Quell, that's a big part of it. The course is obviously tailored to him. He's won there, what is it, 4 times?
Yeah,
four different times. And the last time I believe it there is, Justin Thomas won this tournament. Rory really wasn't too much in contention there. But he always plays well. Even like for him, a bad round out here, it almost feels like it's par one over at worst. And some of these holes at Quail Hollow, the danger for him, for Bryson, and for a couple of these really long guys, which there aren't many like them, it's a whole different type of golf course. And so these guys are going to hit it over the trouble. We've talked a couple of times about only maybe being a handful of guys that have an opportunity to win this tournament. Danny, outside of maybe a Rory, a Scotty, a Bryson, who jumps out at you as having a shot?
I'm really big on JT this week. I think he's been playing very well. I think he obviously has had success at this course. He's won some PGA, 2 PGA's championships. I think just his skill set of sort of the things at Quail are like, can you drive it far? And he definitely gets that. And then it's really approach game, which, with a wedge in his hand, he's one of the best in the world. And then there's sort of the shots around the green. So I think outside of that top tier, he's probably where I look. I think Xander has a good shot. I just like Xander. I think his game is suited well for tough championship, courses. And then I'd love to get your thoughts on this, but I'm sort of like sneaky in on Jon Rahm this week. When you talk about skill set of being able to drive the ball far, straight, and have good ball striking, which sort of wins around here, that sort of seems to fit his profile a little bit. And he's been playing really well. Obviously, it's been on live, but he ended up with a decent finish at the Masters. So those are sort of the three. I think JT being like the highest in that group for me, and then Xander, and then I think Jon Rahm might be sneaky. Top 10, top 5. I think he at least makes a run at it. What do you think about any of those guys?
Well, for one on Rahm, he just seems like he's kind of been sleeping, and eventually, I mean, we know his capabilities when he is on. To me, he's kind of like the only guy that really challenges a Rory or a Scotty, like when they are on. And so we haven't really seen that out of him since live. But again, it's funny because as soon as you start talking about Rahm, my initial thoughts were, I don't know if you watched it, but the Jon Rahm and Josh Allen versus Phil Mickelson and Grant Horvat, the YouTube video.
Some of it. Yeah, I saw some of it.
My first thought was, well, I mean, Josh Allen had to carry this guy on the back nine in that match. And so, but no, I love Jon Rahm. I would love to see him in contention again. I love the energy, the passion, all that good stuff. But JT, that's one that, I wouldn't personally touch this week. Obviously you talked about Spieth at Augusta. JT always seems to play a lot better in this tournament, compared to how he's come or played leading into this tournament. I don't know. He is pretty long. He does like to really kind of drill the ball down and get it on the ground and running. He's really, really good at that. Plays a little drill draw shot. I don't know if it's as wet if everybody is making it out to be a Quail Hollow out there in Charlotte. If it is, I feel like that hurts a guy like Justin Thomas. Maybe not as much in Xander Schauffele. Like, you have to put some respect on Schauffele's name, right? I mean, he just won this tournament. Another course that is considered a bomber's course last year, but that one name I'm surprised kind of in that tier that you didn't go to. I don't know if you feel as strongly about him as I do when it comes to this type of golf course, but Ludwig, I mean, if I'm not taking anybody out of Rory, Scotty, or Bryson, I mean, I'm probably going straight to Ludwig, but that's just me, man. I think he's just so calm, cool, and collected, and that it's inevitable that he breaks through. But I think I'm just kind of want to say it over and over again so that I'm right whenever he does it.
So I will say this on JT. I will say it all depends on how he drives the ball. He drove it terribly at Augusta. He was all over the place, missing it on both sides, hitting it out of the pine straw almost every time. We saw what that did. He wasn't really in contention. Then he wins at Harbor Town, his next tournament. And I'm looking at some of the stats here. And that isn't really a driver bombers course. It's a kind of a strategy off the tee box course. And he actually lost a stroke off the tee there, but he gained almost 4 strokes on approach and 5 strokes putting. And then last week, he was in that race up at the Philly Cricket Club, and he gained 2 strokes over on the 4 rounds off the tee, and he was 5 strokes gained in approach. So if he can hit it like that, I think he's got a really good shot. Now, if the Augusta driver shows up, then he's gonna have a hard time out here. So that's sort of, I think he's just been starting to play better. Ludwig, on the other hand, I had some stats on him too. He's just sort of been kind of all over the place. Like he missed the 2 cuts before the Masters, and then played well at Augusta, and then tied 54th at Harbor Town, and then tied for 60 last week. And it's all been strokes. Driving's been great, but strokes gain, or he's losing strokes on approach and losing strokes putting. So he sort of seems like one of those guys that can lock in on tough golf courses. I do agree with you there. I just don't know if he's in form. But that's the fun of these major championships is, it's sort of like, a rivalry game in other sports. Like, it doesn't – obviously form plays a factor in sort of skill set, and especially the PGA, they always, it always just – they make it as long as, big, thick, rough, long golf courses. So obviously there is a skill set to be had there. But sometimes, it's the – who just shows up and, wants it and shows up in the big moment. So I think he's definitely got that sort of demeanor, just if the game comes with him. That's my only hesitancy on him, as the game doesn't seem to be in form right now.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that's a fair point. And but I do like how you brought up kind of the rivalry aspect where certain players, they just lock in at the right times. And so, I'm sure Ludwig cares very much about winning, your everyday Sunday golf tournament, but he seems to get into a different gear for these. And so, I mean, you can say the same thing for a guy like Justin Thomas. He seems to, of course, he hasn't been at his best as far as in majors over the last few years, but you can tell it's a guy that just has a different type of mentality. He just has to, channel it for good. He'll figure it out. JT is coming back. It kind of has that vibe.
We've seen that story play itself out. Obviously not over the last few years, but wasn't that long ago that Koepka came back, from LIV and ended up winning this tournament too. And I'm a big Koepka guy. I'd love to see him do it. He's definitely, if he's firing on all his cylinders, he's definitely got the length. He's definitely got the iron play, the long iron play to do it here. And I'm not saying that this is his week. I'm just saying he's one of those guys where it doesn't matter if it's a major and he can just kind of turn it on and show up. So you see that story play itself out. Maybe that's Ludwig's, maybe he's got that chance. Maybe it's Brooks. Who knows? But I do think it's fun to see when those guys just, show up in difficult, long, especially if it's wet, extra long, conditions, and just sort of figure out how to grind it out.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, pretty good point on Koepka there. He's a guy that maybe is being slept on some because of his result at Augusta. Obviously didn't bring it. Not really used to seeing that from Brooks, come major time. Can imagine that, he's as motivated as ever to kind of go back and prove, with the combination of the LIV stuff and him letting John Rahm, kind of take him behind the woodshed on that Sunday at Augusta a couple of years ago. I mean, I'm sure, Brooks normally is the kind of guy that doesn't really need any extra added motivation. It feels like, he has plenty of it right now. And so I wouldn't be surprised, long story short, to see Brooks play really, really well. I know that'd make you happy.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this, Danny. In your current form on the golf course, you go play 7,626 yard Quail Hollow tour conditions. What are you putting up? What number? Give me an estimate.
It's not going to be pretty. I don't have the stat profile. It's all about driver for me. I can hit it decently long, but I definitely don't hit it straight enough out there. I would be lucky to. I don't even know. I'd be happy if I kept it in the 90s.
Yeah.
I played this past weekend at Kissing Tree and drove it so bad, but I ended up shooting 77. I was chipping and putting the lights off of it. It should have easily been an 85 round. So I don't know how Kissing Tree, what the course adjustment is, Kissing Tree to Quail Hollow, but I got to think it's probably 15, 20 strokes. So, yeah, I don't think it'd be very pretty, at least the way I'm driving it right now.
Yeah, that's the issue here as well. I mean, well, driving it better, but short game, I'm able to get up and down for par a lot right now. But if I go out there, it's going to be more like trying to get up and down for bogey on PGA Major Championship greens. There's going to be some of those 4s and 5s that turn into 7s and 8s. I'd be happy breaking 100. Absolutely. Like that length of golf course, I would take that and run with it. But yeah, we'll probably never know. I don't know if I'll ever get access to tour conditions at a major championship course. Would be cool. Maybe we keep going with the media thing and we get on Augusta the Monday after, and go put up a nice 102 out there. But
I think the better question my buddies and I always kick around is like, if we took like, depending on the course, like if we went out and took like a 3-man or a 4-man scramble team from the tips and tournament conditions, could we win this tournament? That's I feel like a little bit of a better, question.
no. I mean, it's possible, but you're gonna have to have somebody that has a lot of length. I mean, you have to, and then you're gonna have to have at least probably 2 of the guys that are pretty impeccable with the with the wedge in their hand and the flat stick. But that's a really fun question. I mean, there's all types of YouTube golf content nowadays where you have these guys that are trying to make the cut. The Bryan brothers and Horvat trying to make the cut at these courses, which I was literally in the middle of watching as my kids continuously got out of bed and were like, "Hey, come hang out with us." But yeah, it's really cool to see all that stuff. But for me personally, you, I think we need one more guy, and that guy needs to be a pretty big hitter.
Yeah.
But I was playing pretty bad golf last time that we hung out, so you probably don't have a lot of faith, and I wouldn't blame you at all.
Well, you have great stories. Do you tell any of your old life poker stories on this show?
I haven't told anything from any of that. But yeah, that would need, it's probably
Do
need
your
its own
listeners know?
channel.
Do your listeners know that you had a decently
No,
good poker career?
no,
I
haven't told. No, I mean, there's some guys that, I mean, you called me a Renaissance man. Like, there's some people that know that I've dabbled in a lot of things. There's some people that I've told the whole story about a good friend getting banned from the World Series and all of that stuff. And yeah, that was definitely crazy times. A lot of fun. Hung around some really good people. Hung around some really really bad people as well. So
you need to do an episode of it's your tell all from your poker days. We were both playing pretty bad golf, but I was pretty entertained the whole time. And I got home and told my wife, I was like, I got to tell you these stories because I got to get them out. I mean, they're too interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely, back 2010, 2013, 2014. That was pretty much all we were doing. We were working, we're playing cards, no golf at all. And it was funny because there's guys in our group that would go leave the card tables and stuff, and we'd be in Atlantic City or we'd be in North Carolina, like we'd just be wherever, and they'd be looking for golf courses, and we were like, "What the hell are y'all doing?" And now that would totally be me. Like I wouldn't even be, probably wouldn't even be playing. But yeah, I would just be trying to find the courses, especially if I was in North Carolina. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's your benefit is even if you're playing bad, you keep whoever you're playing with entertained.
There you go. Fair enough.
And you had a pet alligator or something, didn't you?
Yeah, gators were fun. Yeah, definitely
for fun. Yeah, just as you do.
Yeah, that was a good time, man. I joke with the kids all the time. I'm like, hey, I need to, we need alligators because I don't let them get a dog or I don't let them have a cat, and just because they're not responsible. Long story short, and I'm not going to take care of it. Like just being real. And so, yeah, I was messing with them the other day. I was like, listen, I'll ask your mom if we can get another alligator. And if she says yes, I'll text the gator guy.
Yeah, you already got the hookup.
So I go back and
we got to ships alligators across the country.
This was like 3 weeks ago. I found the guy's contact and the phone, and it delivered, but he never responded. So they asked me probably like once every 3 or 4 days, like, hey, has he responded? And so I'm sure it wouldn't be too hard to wrestle up one more alligator, but pretty frowned upon, especially right here in the middle of the city. So
yeah,
we'll see. But yeah, definitely lots of good stories, man. The golf course is speaking up speaking of Pine Dunes trip coming up, I don't know if I told you the dates on that yet. We'll get that to you, but yeah, there's always.
I played it like 2 weeks ago.
Did you really? How'd it go?
It was okay. I think I shot 81, but I was going up to like Tyler for a work deal, and I was like, oh, I'm driving right past it. I definitely got to stop and get around in. So,
Oh
yeah. So always great to be out there. But yeah, let me know whenever.
Did you play? Did you play the tips or did you play the blues?
I think I played one up. I was with
Most
I
of
was, I was with another guy.
Let's
And it
say
was
it's
first time out
7,200
there.
from the tips.
Yeah,
So
no.
81 is salty.
No. But that course is great. If anybody has a chance to go out there, it's in the middle of nowhere, but it's so worth it. Great track.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about Pine Dunes. Any of you guys still listening out, DFW area, East Texas, Houston area, it's not a bad drive for y'all at all. A couple hours. Pine Dunes, just 30 miles south of Tyler, and I guess it's technically in Frankston. It has a Frankston address, but it's in between Frankston and Palestine on Highway 155. I love that place. I tell them often that they should hire me because I'm promoting them constantly, nonstop, social media. Every single golfer that I play with, I think I talk to about.
That's how I heard about it, was from you.
That's it. There we go. It is pretty generous. Fairways are pretty big, but if you miss off the fairway, there's massive pine trees just pretty much layering every single fairway. So for an amateur golfer, if you're on, you can have a lot of fun at Pine Dunes and have a really good time. But if you're struggling and can't control the ball off the tee box, then yeah, it can get dicey.
It's one of those courses that like requires good shots on every hole. It's like,
yep.
And that sounds pretty obvious. That's every course, but some courses you can get away with, like even the one we were just talking about, Kissing Tree. You can sort of hit it all over the place out there and still do okay. That's one that's like, you sort of takes you got to have your attention at all times driving it, and then even into the greens. The greens aren't overly fast, or at least they haven't been any time I've been there. So if you can get it on the green, you can be fairly aggressive, but definitely, yeah, if you're having a hard time off the tee, you're gonna have a long day out there.
You're not lying, man. I'll never forget. Full transparent. I started playing the game of golf in 2017, and I was awful. Played a ton of baseball. All my weight was on my back foot. Absolutely terrible attributes to have as a golfer, and to go out to Pine Dunes, because on the majority of holes you're asked to hit the ball with a little bit of a draw. A lot of holes move right to left on you until the very, very end. It's funny how they trick you out there. First 16 holes, they don't ask you to cut the ball one single time, and then they ask you to kind of cut the ball twice in a row there. But me and a buddy go, this is when I'm still coaching high school. And, I'd gotten to the point I was so obsessed with golf where I was, I'd have 30 kids in the business room with me, and I'm like mimicking golf swings all day long and like barely teaching anything. And then I go to baseball practice and I'm mimicking golf swings, but I'm teaching the outfielders, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm working on thinking about golf, honestly." Well, then it got to where as soon as the season ended, we were using half days to go play, 18 or 36 holes with the coaches. And so quickly fell for the game, and I was Googling, courses around me, places I could go play, and the Dunes was a couple hours away. So me and a buddy went to go play. Again, I was terrible, really bad at the sport. And the fourth hole, the big dog leg left, pretty long. If you want to have a mid iron or higher end, you kind of have to hit a draw there. And my buddy made a 14. I made an 11. I was trying to remember how it was. 25 combined strokes. The first time I ever played it, I shot 122. He shot 141. And then I broke 70 out there, or broke 80, sorry. Shot 74 the first time I broke 80. And I have both scorecards. I'll show them to you sometime. I have the 122, and then I have the 74 as well.
You mount them behind you for your studio.
It's funny, man. Funny game. If I went out there right now, I don't know if I'd break 80, to be honest. Maybe not even 85. We're getting there. But Pine Dunes, y'all go out there, y'all check it out. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, back to Quail Hollow real quick. Danny, if you got one in, give me an automatic top 10 finisher that is not Rory, not Bryson, not Scotty. if you're a gambling man, Danny, let's say
which I am.
you're forced to pick a top 10 contestant here, but you're not allowed to choose from the big three.
Okay. I think I go JT.
Okay.
We see differently on this one, which is fine. I'm big on him this week. I'd like to say Xander, and he obviously can. I just haven't seen him, really like in contention yet. So I sort of think I would probably pick JT. What about you?
I mean, I like it. Obviously, Vegas agrees with you. He's the fourth highest player in odds. If you'd have told me that, after Augusta, that JT would be the fourth highest player in odds going in the PGA Championship, I'd have said you're crazy. Considering Xander won it last year, he's probably in a little bit better form. I think that's safe to say, coming off a 2 major win season. John Rahm, Ludwig, Morikawa, Brooks. I mean, obviously there's something that's got a lot of people feeling really good about JT, yourself included, and so I can't knock it. It's not that I disagree. I just don't know for sure. I could see both sides of it. I could see him going out there and putting up a 77, on a Thursday or Friday round. But I'm rooting for the guy, which is abnormal for me. I'm hoping he finds it a little bit. New dad, new kid. Yeah.
Well, I'll get your answer and then I'll ask a question.
I was gonna say new kid, kind of puts JT in a new light for me.
Yeah,
he's a dad now.
But who was your top 10 if you had to pick?
See, that's tough because I think that you could take a lot of these names and just lump them all together with very equal odds here. I really do like your Koepka call earlier. I think Brooks comes in pretty damn motivated here, but I'm gonna go with a little bit of a name that's probably unexpected. I'm going to actually go way down to Sepp Straka. I think that this is a type of course that if he can drive the golf ball well, he hits a long iron just about as well as anybody. And you're going to see plenty of long irons when you've got a 7,600-yard golf course. The par threes there are insane. Insane. And so, I mean, you've got shortest par three, I think it plays at on average at 184 yards, and it's the shortest one by far. But I'm going to roll the big dog, Sepp Straka, the Georgia Bulldog himself. I think that his ball striking is very, very impressive, man. And if he can just find fairways there, I think it's going to go a long way for him. He'll make his fair share of bogeys, but I think he will throw up a good amount of birdies, maybe not as much as, again, the big three might have. But as far as the rest of the lot, man, I mean, I see a lot of names that they're all going to have to find fairways because they don't have the length that, maybe this top 4, 5, 6 guys have. And it's all going to come down to, can they be the ball strikers with the long irons that they're accustomed to be? I know you heard me talk about a Jason Day, before the Masters, and he went out there and backed me up. And again, this is a course where Jason Day, very, very comfortable with a long iron in hand. Can he find fairways, though? It's a guy kind of root for some reason. I don't know why. I just kind of want him to win again. It would be cool.
I agree. I mean, he's been playing well. Didn't he have like a health issue?
He always has a health issue.
Yeah. I thought I saw he had some sort of like respiratory or something.
Oh, deal. No. I feel terrible for saying that now. Sorry, Jason.
No, I could be wrong. I thought I saw something on that, but that's sort of my only thing on him. I feel like this is crazy to say, but do you think Scotty is flying under the radar a little bit here? And it's hard to say, obviously, about the number one player in the world, but to me, all the conversation has been Rory and Bryson, and he's kind of lumped in because he's Scotty Scheffler, and he's like in that tier of golfers. If you're sort of looking at, if you're doing one of those pools where there's tiers or whatever, but it seems like the picks are usually they're going to Rory or Bryson, at least from what I'm seeing.
It feels like Bryson's getting a ton of love, and then obviously, Rory's always getting hype in majors. I don't know if you saw, but Bryson posted a very quick 9-hole video. It's just swing after swing after swing. There's not any dialogue or anything like that. But You know, everybody was like, wow, he played even par and he hit it sideways and he couldn't make a putt. You know, he's going to be great in this tournament because he'll be locked in, you know. And I get the Bryson hype. Like, I really, really do. He showed up in the last two majors and it's been Rory versus Bryson. Now, Bryson did falter on Sunday in Augusta. A lot of people faltered on Sunday in Augusta.
His Bryson's deal, sorry to cut you off. The way that this course sets up, it should be great for him because I was trying to pull it up. He has been having like almost the best driving season of all time. His strokes gained off the tee are insane. Obviously, it's been on live, but he hasn't gained less than 4 strokes in a tournament off the tee. I mean, it's just been insane. And at Augusta, he lost four strokes with approach. Remember, we talked about his iron play. I mean, his distance control was insane. He'd miss a green short and then he'd fly one by 15, 20 yards. Since then, he's played 2 live events and he's gained strokes on approach with both of them. So, to your point, the reason he's getting love is because, one, he's been playing good in majors. I mean, his majors over the last 2 years have been crazy. He was like, other than the Open last year, he was top 5 in the other 3, and then or top 6, and then obviously, you know, top 5 this year at Augusta. So, I think, yeah, rightfully so. I just sort of think if you had to rank like Rory, Bryson, Scotty, I guess was my question of what would that sort of look like for you at this tournament if you're betting?
Rory 1A, Bryson 1B, and Scotty, I guess you call that 3. No, I just, and it's not a knock on Scotty, man. It's like, it's just the course. Rory's won here 4 times. As good as Scotty is, when Rory's at his best, I think Rory's just as good, if not better. I think the firepower being a lot of that. Now, Scotty's, you know, you go post over what, negative minus 30, 32, 33, or whatever it was, you know.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, the last time we saw him, he absolutely dismantled the course.
And so, yeah, I mean, but at the same time, you know, that's a birdie fest, okay? And that's not going to happen here. And these guys aren't going to take dead aim at the pins like Scotty was taking dead aim at everything because there was no punishment. And again, I'm not knocking the guy. I love Scotty. Obviously, he's a Longhorn. It's funny to see him wear burnt orange today. I don't know if you saw that black vest with burnt orange underneath it, considering what happened last year this time. Does Scotty come out, you know, with a little vengeance after what happened last year? Sure, you know, a lot of people laugh it off, you know, but I'm sure Scotty was extremely embarrassed for a moment last year when this all played out. But for me, it's just Rory and Bryson, the last 2 Masters, or sorry, the last Masters, and then last year at the U.S. Open at Pinehurst. I mean, it's been about them, you know, and of course, Bryson, we mentioned earlier.
It's a great rivalry.
Yeah, and Bryson dropped on Sunday at Augusta because of his iron play. He was getting up and down from crazy places all week. And a credit, I mean, that's what these pros do. That's the biggest difference between them and us, and a lot of others. But you know, like he wasn't able to do that on Sunday, and so that's where if Bryson's iron play has improved at all, like Danny was talking about, then you got to really, really, really love chances of Bryson, you know, being in that final group or being right there in it, down to the wire on the back 9. How about you though, Rory, Bryson, Scotty? How are you ranking that group right now?
It's just so tough. Like I would probably for this tournament be in the same boat that you are. It's just like I don't really know why. To your point, because it was like the last time we saw Scotty, he played as good as anybody has ever played on a course in the PGA history, you know. Now obviously that course, like you said, is way different than Quail Hollow, but it's like I wouldn't be surprised if he was, you know, holding the trophy at the end of the week. But in pretty much any like pool I'm doing or like pick 'em, everything for me has been Rory and Bryson, and I'm just like, I wonder if that's only me or if that's just everybody's sort of like those two seem to fit this course the best. You know, they sort of had the recent history on their side, but we're in a weird place where it's like we're not talking about Scotty Scheffler, you know, as one of the top 2 golfers, but that's a testament to how the other guys are playing. Question for you. We're both big Spieth guys. Give me the steel man argument why Jordan Spieth can win this golf tournament and complete the career Grand Slam if you had to.
Jordan Spieth wins this golf tournament if he elects to eat out tonight while everybody else eats in the dining hall and catch crazy amounts of food poisoning. That unfortunately, I think now Spieth is a lot better driver of the golf ball than he has been in the past. And it was funny to see his comments on it because he said it wasn't something that just it happened because of hard work. He said he never went out and put extra effort in any more than he had in previous years with his driver. He credited Titleist and all the technology and that being a big aid. But he said it was between Titleist and his game and his maturation just kind of happened organically. And so, can Spieth have a vintage special week? I mean, it's been a while, and so Danny, like you're asking me to give the argument. I don't know if I'm the proper guy because I love seeing Spieth do his thing, but the way that he hits some off the planet, it's not going to work, and so I can't do it. I literally cannot sit here and tell you like, yeah, Jordan's going to go win this tournament, and part of what makes me fearful for him is even just the big dogs, the knowing what he would have to do in order to hang with them. And I think that'll play out for several guys, but I don't know if you saw Spieth's comment when Rory and Spieth were on the range before. Where were they at in the last signature event?
Well, they were at the Philly Cricket Club.
Right. And so Rory and Spieth are on the range on Tuesday. And, Spieth is telling Rory, essentially that he's happy for him. And Rory is like, hey, well, next it's your turn. It's your turn to complete the slam, go do it. And Spieth said, yeah, at the Rory McIlroy Country Club, and so I would love it, man. But I need to see more confidence out of Jordan. I'm really liking what he's doing with the driver. And we all know he can have a lot of magic with an iron in his hand. Can he avoid the really, really big, really, really, simple mistakes for some of these guys? But is there a fighting chance? Do you have any hope at all? Be honest with me. 1 to 10 confidence level that Spieth is within 2 shots going into the back 9 on Sunday.
No, I don't. I mean, I want it, but I definitely don't. The case would be now that definitely seems to be anecdotally correct, or when you watch him on TV. I'll say I pulled up his deals here in 2025. The last, let's see, since the Valero, since the Valspar, he's gained strokes with the putter in every tournament, and he's, except for the Valspar, every tournament after that, he's gained strokes with the driver. So the case would be he has the best driving week of his life, and he's just does what vintage 15, 16 Spieth does around the greens. I mean, that would be the case. It would be he would have to figure out a way to drive it better than he's ever driven it. And then the approach play got to be, better than it was at Augusta. He lost almost 5 shots approach at Augusta and 5 shots on approach last week. But at the Byron, he got crazy hot on Sunday, shot 62. So it would have to be that Spieth for 4 days. That's the argument. Now, what is the likelihood of that? Not much.
Making me want it more, but expect it less.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it would have to be. Like, it would just have to be a vintage 2015 Jordan with the maturity, of sort of being whatever age he is now, 30, 31, and having the best week of his life and hoping that that's enough to somehow be able to keep up with Rory or Bryson or any of those guys.
Let me ask you this, Danny. When it comes to major championship golf, what do you root for? Do you root for carnage? Do you root for these guys to go low on a really tough course? Or do you get tired of seeing tournaments like we just saw where, Scotty goes 30 plus under, and multiple guys are 20 plus under, and everybody, and it feels like everybody, and even the hot dog guys are getting birdies in there. What do you prefer?
I mean, aside from conditions, obviously I want some sort of drama on Sunday that, regardless of conditions, that makes any tournament or golf course fun to watch.
Right.
I tend to not like this one as much, just because I think like what the U.S. Open and the Open Championship bring is like we've talked about it since we started this show. Is it seems there's a select few guys that have a skill set to be able to drive it far enough to sort of be able to take advantage or have a chance to sort of jump on this golf course a little bit, and some guys just can't do it. Remember Kisner a few years ago had the famous like line about they pay a lot for whatever 30th or whatever, but he was like, I don't have a chance to win at some of these courses. I just can't hit it far enough. So I kind of like to see like the weather sort of play a role and sort of see, how these guys, get creative and those sorts of things. So I sort of like the Open Championship or even like the US Open where, you can hit a 4-iron off the tee box and it runs, another 60, 70 yards and you don't have to just bomb driver. That being said, there is something, fun to watch about these guys that just sort of stand up there and hit it as hard as they can and see where it ends up. And then obviously, like we've seen the way like Bethpage plays in those places, like, I mean, you hit it in the rough and it's, it's thick rough. This one's going to be wet. So the course is going to play long. So I think this one will be fun to watch. Probably not the best venue we'll see or tournament we'll see as far as majors go this year. But I think my hope is that the golf course, obviously it being wet is going to make tee shots play longer, but it can also mean that they can just absolutely take advantage, of greens. I'm hoping that's not the case where it's like, they're so receptive that, they're not worried about, balls bouncing off the greens or whatever. I think we see when these courses get a little bit wet and receptive, what these guys do to them. And I definitely don't want to see 30 under in a major.
Yeah, no doubt. Same here. I prefer a little bit of blood out there. I need to see these guys struggle in spots they normally wouldn't struggle in, and I think that's just part of being a golf purist. And you want these guys to face adversity the same way. You don't know, like you said, nobody wants to go out there to see a complete birdie fest. PGA Championship, U.S. Open, any of these majors. It's funny though. The only other course that you mentioned was a course one that Brooks Koepka won at, but that's neither here nor there. He ate Bethpage up, man, which is shocking. But
the one thing I will say, like, about this is it seems, at least the PGA in general, like with the Open and the US Open, some of it is like not luck, but like you can sort of not get rewarded for hitting good shots. You know what I mean? Like you can hit a really good shot that sort of the weather affects it, or like it runs into a weird spot because it's like when they bake the US Open courses out and you hit a good shot, but you can't stop it on the green because the green's like concrete. Like that, it can get away from us a little bit there. What sort of happens down the stretch of these like golf tournaments is thinking about like when Brooks won, I guess it was at like 23 against Victor Hovland, and they were sort of like back and forth towards in the back nine. It was like you had to see them, the shot making had to be there. You know what I mean? It was like, if you hit a good shot and it's all the pressure's on that shot, like you're going to be rewarded. But if you don't, like, obviously you're going to be penalized for it. So, like there is something to be said about like hitting a good shot here in these sort of conditions seems to be rewarded always, or most of the time. Hitting bad shots seems to be penalizing. But I'd feel like it does take some of like creativity out of it. But I do think if it's, it's close, it's like, every shot on Sunday, can really sort of make the difference, and you got to hit a lot of good ones.
I mean, you talk about lack of creativity on this type of golf course. I think that's what you're assuming or implying. I think Quail Hollow is boring as hell. I think it's mundane, especially when you talk about major championship golf courses. And I'm not just saying this because there's quotes about lack of character or lack of soul or whichever golfer really kind of reamed Quail Hollow, but it's just it seems very repetitive. Long par 4 after long par 4, long par 4. I hope here's a 260-yard par 3 or 200, and
We just see it every year, so it's
well,
like
that's true. I mean, that's a big part of it. I don't think the major championship should ever be played anywhere that the tour has an every year stop at. But hey, at the end of the day, a big part of me would prefer that Jordan win the tournament. But if Rory wins, I'll be pretty happy. And again, the course suits him well. You talk about the weather, and it can play both ways because, yeah, some of these guys that are going to have like 5-iron, maybe 6-iron on average into these pins that are going to be pretty difficult. If it is wet, these guys that maybe don't hit the ball as high as a Bryson or a Rory or a Scotty, they can get it to hold. But at the same time, if Bryson or Rory, Scotty, or they're dialed with their wedges, that's where you can start to be like, oh crap, this golf course needs to firm up, just so it's not these couple cats that run away with it. And so, yeah, I'm really curious to see how, what happens. I don't know how much rain they got today in Charlotte. I know there's a small chance for more tonight and throughout the night a little bit, but let me ask you this. Give me a winner. We got go with a few more minutes left here. Give me your winner. And who do you think's in that final group with him going into Sunday? Well, I guess I can't say final group, but give me who you think's going in the final group on Sunday, and then who your winner is, because we could have 3 different names mentioned here.
I mean, I'd like to be, for the content's sake, a little bit creative, because it seems like we've beat to death that there's probably 3 guys that are at the top of that. So I'll try to get a little bit creative here. I think in the final pairing, I think if Rory's in the final pairing, he wins. So I'm going to say he's not in the final pairing. And I'm going to say Bryson. Man, I'm just so big on JT, but I don't. That's a tough question. I think we go Bryson, and I think JT wins it, but I don't think he's in the final pairing. I think he has somewhat of a Sunday comeback. So Bryson and somebody, and then JT wins it.
Hey, a man committed to Justin Thomas. I like it.
Well, and the other thing I was going to say too, was he's won here before, but it was a couple President's Cups ago when they played at Quail, remember? And that was sort of the President's Cup where, like, the JT, Jordan, obviously they've been friends for a while, but like they went crazy there. Like, they played insane. They were holing out from bunkers. They were making birdies like left and right. It was sort of, so there is some good juju there for both of those guys. So obviously it's not the history that Rory has there, but I think JT's won there and he's played there in President's Cup. So I'm really big on him this week. I really think too, I want to get to your sort of your top 3 or what it is, but I was going to say John Rahm at plus 2,000 is a pretty good. I think it's a decent place to put your money. I have this website that I look at, and they sort of run some simulations, and then you can find sort of leverage spots of what the odds are that they're going to win the tournament and how often they're being bet on to win the tournament or picked.
Right.
So, like, for instance, Rory wins this tournament 33% of the time in simulation, but he's being picked 40% of the time. So sort of negative leverage there because he's being picked more than how much he wins it. And sort of all of those guys, it's the same for Scotty, 33% chance to win being picked at 39%. You do get positive leverage with Bryson. He's going to win 22% of the time. He's being picked 18%. But then John Rahm is actually going to win 11% of the time and is only being picked 3% of the time. So you get decent odds with him. You get decent sort of, leverage with him. So for anybody out there that's looking to put some money, he's not a bad bet. But yeah, I think Bryson finds himself top of the leaderboard, probably in a final pairing. I think Rory's in the final, probably a couple groups. I think JT finds a way to get it done. What are
And
yours?
we'll see. And and JT being 14-1, at least on mine, almost feels like what are we doing? Like we're boosting the crap out of this guy's odds. Like there's no way he should be 14. It almost makes me want to dabble a little bit on JT because Vegas knows. I mean, that's
Well,
just
only the guys you don't bet on are the ones who win, so don't bet on them.
fair enough. Yeah. Sorry, Rory. I bet on you for many years, man. We could have ended this whole ordeal a long time ago. Final group, give me Rory and Sep Straka. Rory's going to win. Rory's going to post a 60s. Let's go 68 on Sunday. He's already, caught some flack for winning at Augusta with a 73 on Sunday, and that's just Twitter trolls. I mean, I see it though, and so I got to bring it up. And I need Rory to go post a low round on Sunday. Ideally, I would love for Jordan Spieth to win this tournament. I think it'd be really, really neat. But I have a lot of confidence. I feel good about Sep Straka playing really well here. Could fall flat on my face on that one. But last time we were doing shows about a major tournament with Augusta, my Jason Day, that worked out pretty well for me. So J Day finishing top 10 in that tournament, maybe that gives me a little golf credits. And so we'll see those. It's got a big one. Now let me ask you this. This is another fun one. Give me one guy who is top 20 in odds, okay? Roughly top 20, top 25, top 30. We'll go anywhere in there that you feel most likely misses the cut.
I go Victor Hovland.
Can see that.
I think he is somewhere in the top 20-ish. I feel like all the other guys up there, like there's a world where you could see Spieth missing the cut or maybe Brooks missing the cut. Obviously, I'm not going to root for that. But all those other guys have all been like sort of playing pretty well. I think this is a tough golf course for Colin Morikawa, but I don't think it's tough enough for him to miss a cut. So the other guys I sort of see, Ludwig, we talked about. Cantlay's been playing well. Neiman, been playing really well. Fleetwood, maybe it's a little long for him. Same thing for Shane Lowry, but they sort of seem to be playing well enough and striking it well enough to probably keep themselves in it. I think Victor's sort of the most inconsistent since he won at wherever he won. He's sort of been all over the place. Was it Valspar that he won when he beat JT?
I think you're right. Yeah, I think it's Valspar, the old Copperhead course. I could see that. I mean, Victor's got he's got like a professional over the top swing. He just comes just a hair over the top, and it's pretty flat. And so when he gets in that rough, that thick rough, I can see some issues with him there. That's a pretty good pick. I was eyeing Victor. I mean, every bit of me wants to say Justin Thomas, but I'm not going to to do that because I love you, Danny. I honestly don't see it happening.
That's okay. I was big fade on Rory at the Masters, if you remember.
Oh yeah, I mean, and understandably so. The guy he's the Texas football of the golf world. I mean, so much hype for so long, with so little results, which is unfair to say to Rory because he was definitely putting up much better results than Texas football was there for a decade, even if he wasn't winning majors. All right, I'll make my pick official. I'm gonna go with Joaquin Niemann. There's been a ton of hype surrounding Joaquin over on the Live Tour. We'll see if it translates here. Not the particularly longest player. If it is wet, I can see him struggle there. He's a guy that likes to keep the ball down, hit some stinger shots, and just let that thing run. Kind of similar to JT, but he does not as long as JT. And so I don't know. I think it's tough coming up with a name there. I could see a lot of these guys, honestly stepping up and playing pretty dang well. I mean, Hideki's going to bring it. Pat Cantlay is another one that I almost went with there. Kind of feel like Pat's being really, just forgotten about. I hate to be blunt, just like no one talks about him. I mean, let's be honest, no one really loves Pat Cantlay. Maybe Danny does, maybe he does. Just not a guy that's a lot of fun and exciting, and so no one really talks about him. No one's picking him. A guy that's probably not long enough to go win this tournament, but we'll see what happens there. That's another one I think that kind of stands out for me.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I was going to say that's a great question right there.
If there was one most likely to be arrested, Jake, I need your answer too. One player in the field that is most likely to be arrested. Who is it, Danny? And what is it for?
Well, if you asked me this 7-8 years ago, we could say Dustin Johnson for reasons we can't say on your show.
Oh God.
But that's not going to be my pick. Ooh, let's see. Let's have some fun with it. That's a great question.
That's tough, man. It's not easy. You can make a case for a couple cats.
Patrick Reed's got to be up there in odds.
He somehow is really, really good about going undetected, though. Somehow, some way.
Oh, I don't know. Do you have an answer? What does Jake have an answer? Did he put it in the chat?
Let's see here, Jake. You got an answer? No, nothing in the chat yet. Anyone still watching in the chat? If you had an answer for this PGA Championship, any player in the field most likely to get arrested? No, we're not here just throwing random shade. We're obviously this is a tribute to last year, Scotty Scheffler and his ordeal, which again is just wild to hear Scotty talk about. He talked about it a lot on his 1v1 with Grant Horvat, which is really cool because Scotty was just being Scotty, being a dude. It was a cool watch. For me, and this might be controversial, but I'm going with a block party. Give me Michael Block most likely to be arrested because just too much partying, too partying too hard there. Runner up, Phil Mickelson, some type of embezzlement, some type of Ponzi something. Love Phil, hey, great guy, but I mean, I'm just playing the odds here.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, who? I think you could throw Terrell Hatton in there. Gets in a brush up, gets a little mouthy.
Sergio Garcia beats the shit out of his own caddy.
Assault.
Oh, Sergio, man, what a cat.
Yeah, I want to hear Jake's answer.
Still got nothing. We need him to come on through.
Who? Let me ask you this while we wait for that. That's probably the best. Maybe Matt Fitzpatrick, just for being Matt Fitzpatrick.
Crosshand chipping. Danny can't stand it. Said book that man.
Who? So we went. Who missed the cut? Who do you like? Maybe like fringe top 20 in odds to make a top 10 or to make a kind of a sleeper run.
I've said it twice, man. I'm still with Seb Straka. I got him in my final group on Sunday. I've got him automatic top 10, my most comfortable top 10 bet of anyone that's not the top, the big three guys. And that's with guys like, JT, John Rahm, Xander, Ludwig, all in there as well. And I will say, I do think Ludwig plays really well, but just another random name. I'll go even further down. I'll go a little bit lower here. I think that my guy Max Homa is ready. He's not the longest guy in the world, but I think that he is a highly, highly motivated character that just is not putting it together in a big spot. You saw what he did in Augusta. So hey, I think when the lights shine bright, that's kind of when Max really kind of gets himself going. Here we go. Jake's coming in with some hot answers here. I mean, are you saying Lowry could be arrested or, could win this?
But he could have one too many Guinness.
One too many Guinness, yeah.
Driving home from the course.
I mean, imagine babyface Matt Fitzpatrick, in the Scotty Scheffler orange jumpsuit, and every time you've seen him on full swing, he does. He looks like he's on, just in college, teenage kid. That would I don't know what he would be arrested for, but that's a good one.
It looks like he's underage at the clubhouse.
If Matt Fitzpatrick arrested for alleged MIP, turns out to be big misunderstanding. There we go. Got a headline right there.
Let me give you one of the guy I think sort of make a sleeper to make a run is Daniel Berger.
Would be cool. That'd be a really cool story.
So he has been playing crazy good in 2025. These are his finishes since he missed the cut at the Farmers Insurance at Torrey. And then since then he's gone T2, 12th, T25, T15, T20, T30, T21 at the Masters, T3 at the Heritage, and then T11 last week. And he has gained strokes off the tee in every tournament except at the Players, and gained strokes approach in almost every tournament. Putter has sort of been here and there, but I mean, he's been playing crazy well, and I think he's 80 plus 8,500 to win, but then plus 1,200 to top 5 and plus 600 to top 10. So I think he's got some value there, at least for, I mean, as well as he's been playing. And I don't know, he's one of those guys that sort of likes to hit it low and bleedy and, run it. But so this may be tougher for him than the courses he's played. But if his ball striking stays the way it is, I think he's got a good chance to make a deep run.
Yeah, I like that, man. I was a big Daniel Berger fan. You hated all the injuries that he went through, and it'd be a really good feel-good story if Daniel Berger was even in contention on Sunday, and a lot of people heard his story. I think because a lot of people kind of forgotten about Danny, and he not this Danny. I'll never forget you, buddy. But the big wrist injury, bothered Daniel for a long time, and so again, you mentioned him having a great 2025, which. Hey, I've mentioned, guys that are highly motivated. That's what I'm looking at when it comes to majors, guys that are, in form, play the course well, maybe a little more extroverted, more motivated than, they might be for, your standard major. And, he's a guy that's proven, he still belongs out there on the PGA Tour in 2025. And there's, tons of young and exciting talent. And I'm sure, as much as anything, he'd like to make a very loud, statement here this week in Charlotte. So I like that pick a lot. Wouldn't be the most, sexy or exciting pick, I think, to most of the casual golf fans in the world. But the people that, do deep dives and pay a lot of attention, well, they'd have a lot of respect if Mr. Berger ended up winning this thing here. I got one last question for you, Danny. I'm going to let you get out of here, my man. Did you see Xander Schauffele's PGA Championship dinner menu? And if you did, do you have any thoughts on it? Do you remember what it was?
I have not seen it, but I can pull it up.
Yeah, pull it up real quick. We'll both pull it up.
I saw Brooks wasn't in the photo.
I wonder why.
All business.
All business. I mean, you can respect that.
Smoked goat cheese dates, pickled watermelon, clams, casino shooters, and steak and blue cheese as appetizers. Wagyu New York strip served with blackened jumbo shrimp, whipped sweet potatoes, and bourbon bone marrow.
Is there anything there that you're not having?
I mean, probably going to miss me with the smoked goat cheese dates and pickled watermelon. And then I don't do blue cheese, so I'm probably just going to go straight to the main course. I mean, the New York strip and the black and jumbo shrimp with the sweet potatoes, that sounds incredible.
It does.
But the appetizers, that's going to be tough for me. I'd probably ask them if they have, like, salsa and queso or something in the back.
Yeah. Catch me a little Caesar salads, please. Yeah, I'm passing on the dates, the watermelon, the shooters. I as well. I pretty anti blue cheese, to be honest with you. I think it's one of the craziest inventions that we've ever come up with.
Blue cheese, like why?
Like, yeah, I'm really struggling to understand. I really struggle to trust people that enjoy blue cheese. But
I don't think I have any friends that like blue cheese.
I've got too many. Maybe I need better and newer friends.
Well, that's kind of a prerequisite for me. Is my point.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So, but yeah, the New York strip, we're going to do all of that all day long. There's nothing that we need to change about any of that. Not a big banana split guy, but we'll make that strawberry shortcake work. It looks a little different than your standard strawberry shortcake, but he caught a lot of flack for it. A lot of people were hating Danny. A lot of people were saying he knows nothing about food and that they don't ever want to see the PGA Championship dinner posted or menu posted again. And
that's where my beef is like the hot take is all the other tournaments don't need to make a deal. If they have a champions dinner, that's fine, but stop trying to be like nobody cares. They care about one champions dinner every year, and that one's already happened this year. So it just seems so, I don't know, maybe it's just me and being a hater, but it's just like it just seems so try hard. It's like you see it on social media everywhere, the picture, it's like we get it, but the Masters, it's cool because it's the Masters and the tradition, but it's like these ones, like you said, I knew what Scotty's menu was, but I had no idea I didn't even know there was a thing about this one because it's like, who cares?
First time I've ever seen it, and I don't care about the horrendous selection and appetizers that he made. That's not why I don't want to see it again. I don't want to see it again for the reasons that you just mentioned. We only care about Augusta. We only care about that one. I hope their dinner was lovely and they all had a splendid time, but we don't need to see it. And especially if you're going to have that selection of appetizers, that's bad. All right. Xander will never hear this, but I'm embarrassed for him.
Well, maybe he gets another shot at it.
Maybe he does. But Danny says no. Danny says Justin Thomas wins another major. Me, I'm lame. I'm boring. I'm going back to King Rory. It's the year of the Rory, Danny. I'm talking about this lines up for him to have a very special golf season. Again, he's only won one major. It was Augusta and the Masters, but just step by step, he's at a course he's won 4 times.
If you were going to pick before the year started and we looked at the major championships that they had, and we were going to pick one that if we go, Rory's going to win a major this year, this would be the one that we picked. I would, so it's like the fact that he did Augusta obviously was great. And I think a lot of people, every year he goes, people think that, but this would be the one that everybody would pick. So it's like he's got a good chance to get, another one here for sure. And then who knows what he can do after. I mean, he played pretty bad last week and was in the top 10. He tied for 7th. Like that's kind of as bad as he can play right now. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, I was fading him at Augusta. You don't hear that from me. I think he's probably the favorite if there was one guy. And it'd be pretty cool to see him win this one and then, give the actual Grand Slam a run.
I would like to. I don't think it'd be boring at all if we see another Rory and Bryson showdown. If we have another no handshake, no communication on a Sunday and a final pairing. I mean, like the drama that those storylines would provide naturally. That's what we're here for. Danny likes the drama. I like the drama. I need a little bit of it, and so
I mean, like what we got at Augusta, it's like that was what the back nine of Augusta, what major championship should be like. I mean, just edge of your seat, like it. So we were definitely spoiled, but that's what you want. If it's even better when it's 2 big dogs, but just something where it's not, we're not 4 or 5 shot lead with 4 holes to go.
Yes, and again, you want a gambling story, Danny? Here you go. And I think I might have told you this. Drama's great. Drama's a lot of fun when it comes to golf tournaments, especially these major championships. But it's not as fun when you've got, what did I think? It was like $125 total dollars on Mito Pereira a few years back at Southern Hills in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And you're so nervous about the round because the payout is, over 5 figures because I took Mito like at 150 to 1. I took him at like 125 to 1. I was live betting the ever living hell out of Mito Pereira. And anyways, I'm so nervous about it, dude. I go to the Bandit and I'm like, I'm just gonna play around the golf. I'm just gonna go play and I'm just gonna have fun. And I get to hole 18 at the Bandit, which used to be the par 5 before they flipped the 9s. And I that's where I watched Mito shot on hole 18, and I was like, oh, okay. Which is for anyone that's like wondering, Mito Pereira 1-shot lead going to hole 18. Travis hit a stinger with a driver, too much club, hits it about 80 yards offline into a creek. Just still can get into a playoff with a bogey, makes double, doesn't even get to the playoff after being in a 1-shot or having a 1-shot lead going to 18. JT beats Will Zalatoris. That hurt a lot. So drama can be fun, but gamble responsibly. Don't lie bet Mito Pereira. Not ever. never again. Great guy, but that tournament broke him.
That is a
All
great
right,
story. I
Danny.
don't think you have told me that one.
That one hurt. That one hurt a lot. I was down. I had 2 or 3 buddies that
Mm.
had kind of done the same with me, and we were in shock. It is what it is. Any
Yep.
final words, Danny? Let you out of here.
No, thanks for having me again. Hope maybe we can, if it's a good one, we'll do a recap Sunday night or something to sort of wrap it all up.
Absolutely, man. We might be hopping on for round by round predictions. We'll see what's going on. But most importantly, thanks for being here, guys. If you're still watching, throw a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, all those fun things. Trying to think when we'll be back again. We'll do something tomorrow night, but I don't remember exactly what it is. Sorry, it's been a day. Have a good night, guys. Thanks for being here, and have fun with PGA Champion.